Hey guys, Doug here again, and today we are talking knives. What knife to buy for character carving? Now, this is a topic I've covered in the past, and this is the last time we're ever going to talk about it, but I'm downsizing all my tools again, like I do every once in a while, and while I have a whole whack of knives here, I just want to go through the knives because on a daily basis, someone asks me, can I buy this knife? Will this knife work? Can I carve like you? If I buy your knife, can I carve just like you? And if I can't buy this knife, will this knife work? And so on and so forth. And I want to help you make your own decision on what knife for you to buy. All right. So, like I said, while I've got a bunch of knives here, I want to go through what I like about them, what I don't like about them. Some of them dovetail into the Sloyd green woodworking, and I'll explain them when I get there. But yeah, just a real quick, brief overview of the knives while I have them in my hand, and let's just talk about them. There's a story I like to tell about old young Doug as a junior carpenter on a big construction site, and I saw this big native fella, and he was using a worm drive skill saw. And if you don't know what that is, it's just a skill saw on steroids, big, all the guts are in the back, and basically you can cut through anything. And I sheepishly walked up to him and I said, how do you like the worm drive skill saw? And he gave me this dirty look. And he's like, would I have the blankety blank thing in my hand if I didn't like it? And that was it. And I just walked away. But that story, I'm always reminded of it because people say when they see me using a knife in a video, do you like that knife? Well, I wouldn't be using it if I didn't like it. Now, that's not to say there isn't ones just like it and ones that you can get. So I wanted to take some time and go through these knives. But right off the bat, I want to get this out of the way, is the Helvey knives. I have been called a shill for Helvey and a Helvey fanboy. And whatever, I like them. Now, the problem is they're hard to get, all right? So if you can get your hands on a Helvey knife, these are all my Helvey knives. I have 4. And they're both 2 and 2 of the same knives, 1 3/4 and 2 1/4. Big hog rough out knife, and then my little detail, it's not a little detail, 1 3/4 all around knife. All right, I have 2 of them. Hard to buy. If you can get one, grab one, but don't pay $500 thinking it's going to make you a expert carver, because this is what I'm trying to portray to everyone, is that the tool doesn't make the carver. Practice makes the carver, and a good knife is a sharp knife. All right, so don't get caught up on thinking that the knife makes the carver. All right, the skill makes the carver. The knife is a tool that the carver holds. Okay, but regardless, Helvey knives, fantastic knives. One of my favorites for sure, and I won't be selling them. As you can see, I've got knives all laid out here, wood chips already. I've already filmed this video, and I looked over and the camera malfunctioned or turned itself off, so we're starting over again. So just give me a second here. But a lot of people ask me, what do you think about pocket knives for carving? And can I carve with a pocket knife? And for sure, there's piles of people who carve with a pocket knife. Now, keeping in mind that everything that I say is just my ignorant opinion, so take it for what it's worth. But this one here is a pocket carver, I think it's by Great Eastern Cutlery. Beautiful knife, gorgeous, 2 detailed blades and a thing. I sent this actually to Helvey. They reground it so it would carve even better. And yeah, here's a piece of wood, and you know, it carves just like a knife is expected to. Great knife. Never use it. I just never use it. I am a guy that I just like to have that solid fixed blade in my hand with no worry, and I just can horse it and push it and do all things. I just don't feel the same way with the little pocket knife in my hand. Same thing goes with the a lot of Swiss Army knives. There's a bunch of fellows out there that swear by Swiss Army knives. A lot of them reprofile the blades. See, that's got a kind of a rounded blade. It doesn't really have that point that I really like on the most knives that I can point in. But can I carve with it? Yep, I sure can. Same thing. Hate it. Love the knife though. Great knife. It's got an awl. This is the Bushcrafter model by Swiss Bianco, but it's got an awl, and it's even got a little saw. So a great all-around bush little crafty knife. But me and pocket knives for carving caricatures, not buddies. This is called the Japan Carver, and this is one of my earlier knives I ever got. This is from Valley, and there's a few other shapes that come with it, but this is my favorite. And this was a good little knife, and again, reasonably priced. I think it's like 30 bucks, but it's a little laser beam. Great little knife, very very thin, and a good little knife. I carved lots of stuff with this. Really like that knife. Still don't care for the upswept blade if it was my only carver, but otherwise, good little knife, good little whittling knife. Mora knives. You know, another really accessible knife to get. Good knives. This is, I think, 105. That's the 120. This is the 122, kind of a Warncliffe style. But I did a video carving junk wood with just the knife, and this is the knife I used. And I would love to have this as my only knife, but it's not. It's a great bush carver, bush craft knife, good all-around knife, but not something that you'd want to use to start carving, you know, little fellas, you know. So for that reason, I can't recommend it. And the Scandi grind is a real turn-off to me, just because it's a little bit thicker. So you can't get those big slicing cuts. You kind of like take little swoops. You can't push that blade through the wood because you're steering it up on that Scandi grind. So Mora knives are fantastic knives, many uses and purposes, but just not the best character carving knife. All right. While we're there too, I'll throw Ben Orford in there too. I've got some Ben Orford knives and little detail knives, more of the spoon carver, Sloyd type knives. Again with the Scandi. Not a fan of Scandi knives for character carving, just because, you know, like I said, you take a knife blade and you should be able to slice that right through the wood, right? You just can't do that with a Scandi. Like, even if it's sharp, I'm still just, it deflects itself out of the wood, so you're not getting these big slicing chunks that you can get with a regular knife. You can get, if you're just taking little pieces, they work great, but they seem to deflect on the wood. So for that reason, the Orfords and the Mora knives just aren't the character carving knife for me. Nick Westerman is a UK tool maker and a fantastic knife maker. But again, with the Mora knife, the Ben Orfords, it's got that Sloyd Greenwood Scandi on there. But the difference with these are they're thinner, all right? So you can actually still make a lot of the same cuts just because of the thinness of the knife. So the Scandi is bad when it's thick. If it's thin enough, it's okay, right? So if you can get a hold of one of his thinner knives, give it a go. Good little knives. That's a little inch and whatever, probably pushing 2 inches. This one here, you won't be using this one as a character carving knife. This is a turning knife, and all that means is that it can you can really roll that. Let me find something. You can roll. You can cut little round areas. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm in the camera. But it can do little tight little turns, so not a character carving knife, but Flexcut detail knife. This is what I believe every beginner carver should buy and give a try. See if it sticks. Truth of the matter is, you're never going to be happy with just one knife if you get hooked on carving anyway. You're going to try them all, but probably the best bang for your buck is a Flexcut knife. Again, bit of a Scandi, again, super thin, and you can do anything with it. Good little knives. Carves, you know, just like all the rest of them. And that's the point I'm trying to make, is that there's no super knife out there that you can't do a good job with. I saw a guy in Africa carving a giraffe with an adze with a flat blade about that big, just chipping away at it and making beautiful artwork. And that's what I'm saying. It's practice, practice, practice. The tool doesn't make the carver. The carver uses the tool and his skill, right? So, Swiss Made makes some, I don't know the proper name for these. I would call them a Kardashian if it wasn't thinking Japanese or something. But people carve with these. You can carve, not your probably not your ideal knife, but again, still a knife you can carve with, and you can get in and you can do detail and draw little circles and draw little lines. But not recommended for character carving, but they have a place. And yeah. Sharp tool is a good tool, and these are good tools for what they're made for, but I don't believe they're made for character carving, so put them down too. We're just whipping through here. My buddy Blake Lunsford makes knives, and you should all call him up and ask him if he'll make you a knife. I'm just kidding. He doesn't do custom knives, but homemade knife. That's the point. This is a homemade knife from Blake Lunsford, and again, cuts like a dream. That's about, see, what I like is a point. I like to have a point that I can actually dig in, and I can take a little chip out. All right? I like the point. And that's what most of these knives have, a point. I don't like too much of a upswept belly on it, like, here's one here. A blade like that. Not a good knife for detail. A great hogger. But we're jumping ahead. I'll put that back. But homemade knives work. And there's lots of garage makers out there that can make you up a knife. Key is thin and keep it sharp. Pinewood Forge is another knife maker who makes the Harley knife. Now, Harley Refsall is one of my heroes, and he does flat plane carving. And you'll see he uses this style of knife. All right? These are made by Pinewood Forge. Now, I don't always recommend these because I had to get these secondhand because they refuse to ship outside the States. So if you're outside the States, either you need a buddy in the States or another way to get a hold of one. But real nice, thin front. What I was a little bit surprised about was fairly heavy spine on it. So for the type of cuts, like the flat plane carving, they do a good job. The only thing that I would ever say about this knife is that that back is thick, and it's probably thick just to keep it together because it's so thin at the front. So it gets you in that wood really quick, but then I can feel a bit of drag on the spine. But I've got two sizes, I think an 1.5 and 2 inch. But yeah, good knives as well. And I say a little bit of drag on the spine, but again, I hope you're getting the point here, is that you get used to whatever you have in your hand. If that's your knife, you'll get used to it. You'll make workarounds automatically to adjust or compensate for either or, and yeah, you'll make it work. But anyway, Pinewood Forge, if you're American, not a bad knife. And I think that just about leads us right into the our final knife brand, which I have got scads of. OCC Tools. What is it called? Ozark County? Yeah, I think it's Ozark County Carving Tools. OCC Tools. And this was the very first knife I ever purchased after watching Gene Messer. Now, not to confuse you, but Ron Wells designed the knife, sold the company. Anyway, ends up they're OCC Tools. OCC Tools. All right. But man, I did a lot of carving with that. I've got two of the same here. And by the way, all these handles that you see, there probably isn't any that I haven't MacGyvered to make mine. All right. So, well, with the exception of these, you can see that bit of a varnishy on them. But these are all I always put them on the sander, and I always shape the handles. So don't look at the handles trying to copy or what handle shape, because I always get something and I change them. But these are the little detail knives. They make a nice chip knife. We've never talked about chip carving on this channel, but forget chip carving. Let's say you want a little, you want to do a little, these inside elbows are always hard. Let's just say you want to do one of them. A chip carving knife is actually a nice solid knife where you can, you know, take that little chip out of there and carve. But again, not what it's for. But there's a really fine 1-inch detail. Here's a big pig of a hogger of a knife. That's the one I mentioned earlier. The upswept blade, heavy duty knife, still thin and heavy, but flat grind is what I like about them. But like this thing will just take off chunks of wood. Like look how thick that is. I can just take a piece of wood down to nothing so fast. That noise is not healthy, but I'm trying to prove a point. But big chunks is the point. Big hogger knife, all right? I got a little, I'm not even going to talk about the turning knife there, but the last video I did, and I think this is where the flurry of questions came this week, was I did a gnome carving video using the, this one, 1 3/4. And a lot of questions about that, and surprised to see me using it, which they shouldn't be, because I've used, obviously, OCC tools are one of my favorite brands. And yeah, I love these knives. Why do I like them? Why do I like a Helvey knife? Because they're so streamlined. They're flat knives. The OCC tools can go flat on the strop. This one I raised just a little bit of convex, but not much. But I like the points on the tips that I can dig in and get detail. And yeah, so like I said, I got way too many knives here. Most of them are gonna go. Don't ask to buy them, because I'm gonna probably do it privately or on Instagram. But yeah, if I could have 2 knife brands, it's going to be Helvey and OCC tools. That's the bottom line. But if you're just starting out, Flexcut's good. But I said homemade knives, thin Scandies, whatever you can get will work for you. Like, basswood is important, and the knife sharpness is important. But everything else, I mean, I'm just talking because of the questions I get, but don't stress about your tools. The tool will not make you a carver. Practice and technique and a sharp knife, good wood. Focus on that, not the tools. That said, if you can get yourself a quality tool, go for it. So I hope this wasn't a waste of your time, but like I said, I'm going to keep a few OCC tools and a few Helvey knives, and I'm probably going to get rid of everything, because I've just got too much of everything and they just keep creeping in. And I'm maybe have a bit of a disease. When I see something, I pick it up and grab it. So anyway, don't worry about collecting tools. A lot of these sets are going to go too. And yeah, enjoy the hobby. Don't make it rob all your money. And a good knife, that's 1.5 inches, real good knife. I also like the size of the handle on these. Look at the handle. That's a manly handle. I love the big handles on the OCC tool knives. So, all right, I've rambled for a long time, and this is just kind of a little extra video I want to make. So there you go. That's my thoughts. That's my take. And yeah, take it for what it's worth. Just my opinion. And hope you like it. So thanks everyone for buying me a coffee this week, if that was one of you, and appreciate it as always. And I'll see you soon enough on the next video. See you guys.